Gaming laptops are so good in 2019. It's crazy how far they've come in just a couple of years, whether that's in performance, portability, or design. I mean, in pretty much every way, these things are just way better than they used to be. And if you're buying a gaming laptop today, then you can expect at least a quad core, but probably a 6-core processor, a really high refresh rate display, the best new graphics from NVIDIA, and most importantly, and newest in all these trends, is a thin and light design, which you're gonna see some of today, because we're checking out the best gaming laptops you can buy. We've reviewed pretty much all the major designs that have come out this year so far, and we have some thoughts. So we're gonna tell you which ones you should buy, which ones you should be considering if you're trying to buy a gaming laptop right now. Okay, so we've got our stack of gaming laptops here, and I'm gonna give you the pick for our best overall gaming laptop, and that's this one right here, the Razer Blade. Now, the Razer Blade is not the most powerful laptop you can buy. We're gonna get to that in a second, but I think this one really does balance performance, design, and portability all in a package that really no other gaming laptop can do. After all, there are plenty of powerful gaming laptops out there, but really laptop design is all about making the right compromises, and Razer has done that over the past couple years, just iterating on all the elements of that, whether that's the thermals, the design, how thin and light it can actually be, and even battery life, which the Razer Blade does fairly well at for a gaming laptop. The keyboard is awesome, and the touchpad is easily the best among all the options you'll see here. It's really large and precise. For the screen, I mean, it's really color accurate, and you get those really thin bezels along the sides. You can have a ton of different options in terms of refresh rate or even what kind of display you get. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the Razer Blade hits all of the marks, not even just for a gaming laptop, but just for a laptop in general. Unfortunately, you get a ton of different options for getting into the Razer Blade in terms of configurations. Although the one that we'd really recommend you start at is a $2,000 price point. It's pretty expensive. But what you get is the RTX 2060 for graphics, you get a 6-core Core i7 processor from Intel, and you get that 144 Hz refresh rate display. You can even bump this all the way up to the RTX 2080 that comes with a 4K touchscreen OLED display. I mean, it's an amazing gaming laptop that's gonna cost you all the money you have. Or you can even go for the Razer Blade Pro, which is a 17-inch version of that same 15-inch laptop. My personal favorite option, and the one I'd recommend to the most people, is the one we have here, which is kind of a mid-range for the Razer Blade. It comes with the RTX 2070 for graphics, and most importantly, it comes in this really awesome mercury white colorway. It's a cool silver white color scheme that I think works really well if you want to take your Razer Blade to work with you or to coffee shops or wherever you do with your computer outside of gaming. And that's really what I love about the Razer Blade, is that when it needs to game, I mean, it's got plenty of performance and cooling for that. And when you need it to do something else, it actually has decent battery life, has a nice screen, and doesn't look like something that belongs only in your basement for gaming. I mean, you can take this out anywhere and it'll blend in great with the other laptops you see around you. And that's really what makes the Razer Blade our pick for the best gaming laptop you can buy right now. But I did say we'd talk about power and performance, and our next pick, which fits that category perfectly, is the Alienware Area 51M. Like I said earlier, we've tested pretty much all of the major gaming laptop releases this year, and in terms of raw performance, it's really not even close. The Area 51M is in a whole other league compared to these other laptops out there, and that's for one very particular reason. This is a true desktop replacement, and I mean literally it has desktop components inside. In particular, we're talking about the fully overclocked RTX 2080. That's not the limited Max-Q version, by the way, that you'll see in a lot of these other options. And up to a Core i9-9900 8-core processor from Intel. It's the combination of these components and the really good thermals in this fairly thick chassis, along with all the great ventilation that comes with that, that makes for the best gaming performance we've ever seen in a laptop. We're talking over 200 frames per second in a popular game like Fortnite, and that's at 1080p with the graphics settings maxed. That game in particular is even playable at 60 frames per second at 4K if you plug it into an external monitor. I mean, that's just nuts for a gaming laptop. The difference between the Area 51M and a lot of these other gaming laptops is actually pretty significant in terms of performance, especially when you get into higher resolutions and the higher graphic settings. This thing really starts to flex, and compared to those, I mean, you're gonna see in some games as much as 20 to 30% of an increase in game performance. And yeah, you can replace the graphics card and processor, though I wouldn't get too excited about that, because when we tried it ourselves, we still found it to be a pretty clumsy process. Let's not joke though, this thing is really bulky. I mean, it weighs 8.5 pounds, which is actually lighter than the old Alienware gaming laptops used to be, but it still feels really heavy compared to these others. It's not gonna be fun to transport really anywhere. You should also probably consider the price, which starts at $2,000 and ranges all the way up to $4,000. And honestly, if you're gonna get this, you wanna push for those higher configurations for the power that you get from it. So, you know, if you're somebody who really doesn't need to move this thing around much, just from room to room in your house, that's not gonna bother you too much, the portability factor. But if you want the absolute most powerful gaming laptop you can buy and you're willing to pay for it, the Alienware Area 51 is the one for you. Now, as you can tell from some of the options we're providing, gaming laptops are pretty expensive. They're more expensive than your average laptop. But we do have some options that are a little more affordable and probably what most people are gonna be looking at least in terms of price. And we found the best option for the below $1,000 level, the budget gaming laptop area, was really the Dell G3 gaming laptop. Now, I know there's nothing flashy about this. In fact, it's made out of plastic and it's got some pretty chunky bezels on it. I'm fully aware, but it starts at $650 right now. And that's pretty much as cheap as gaming laptops get. Now, at that base price, you do still get a quad-core processor, but for graphics, it comes with the GTX 1050, which is where you're gonna see a pretty significant bottleneck. So I would recommend at least jumping up $100 to get the 1050 Ti, which also comes with an M.2 solid-state drive. Now, you may have noticed, but what we have here is actually the 2018 model, which is where those cheap prices come in. The 2019 model gets a bit of an update for the chassis, but also in terms of the components, you get 9th gen Intel processors, you get the 16 series graphics from NVIDIA, but you also get a bit of a price jump up to $900, which is still pretty affordable, especially compared to some of the competition. So that's our pick for the budget level laptops, the Dell G315 gaming laptop. Take a look at that if that's where your price range is. But you might be wondering, what about sort of like the in-between? I mean, that's pretty low. We've talked about some pretty expensive stuff. Well, here's one that I think will fit into kind of the mid-range of gaming laptops, and this is the Acer Predator Triton 500. This thing starts at $1,500 or $1,600 depending on where you're buying it from, and when we reviewed it, we really were impressed by the value you get from Acer's flagship gaming laptop this year. It's got a nice, fairly simple design. The build quality is rock solid. And I mean, compared to previous versions of the Predator, this thing has been cut down significantly in terms of thickness and weight. It has a great keyboard and touchpad, and even comes with that really popular 144 Hz refresh rate screen. But really, when it comes down to value in a gaming laptop, it's all about performance, and that's where this thing really does make its mark. Ours came with the RTX 2080. It's a overclockable GPU, really, really impressive frame rates for 1080p and 1440p gaming, and even some 4K stuff if you want to dip into that on the Triton 500. Of course, you can jump down to the RTX 2060 for that base starting level and still get really solid 1080p gaming. I think a year from now, we're really going to be seeing the Triton 500 appear on Amazon as a bestseller. I think this is going to be a really popular gaming laptop, especially those lower configurations, just because of the raw value that you get with it. Now, we do have a couple of other honorary mentions, some laptops that, just barely miss the mark. These are ones that we'd recommend, especially if you find them on sale or something like that. They're not quite as good as the others, but if you're getting a significant discount, these could be good options for you. The first one I wanted to mention is the MSI GS75 Stealth. This is a bit more of a high-end gaming laptop meant to compare with the Razer Blade, but it really is a nice, solid gaming laptop. When I reviewed it, I really liked a lot of things about it. It's really powerful, and most importantly, it's really thin and really light, again, to compare with that Razer Blade. It does have a couple things that annoy me. The touchpad is not great, and it's placed in a really awkward place where your palms are on it all the time. The build quality is not as good as Razer Blade, but like I said, if you can find it on sale, the GS75, which is the 17-inch version, or the GS65, the 15-inch version. Really solid gaming laptops for the price. And I also wanted to mention the Lenovo Legion Y740. This comes in either a 15 or 17-inch version. And again, a really solid gaming laptop. These come actually as low as $1,200 or $1,300, depending on what time of year you're buying. But the sales get really good on this, especially for those lower GTX level graphics. I mean, what you want is something in between that Dell G3 and maybe the Predator Triton 500. The Lenovo Legion Y740, really good way to go for gaming laptops. So those are our picks for the best gaming laptops you can buy. Right now, midway through the year of 2019, it's a really exciting time to be not only buying a gaming laptop, but just to be following the technology in this space. I mean, right here we have an Alienware M15 with an OLED screen. I think that's going to be a huge trend moving into the back half of 2019, but especially in 2020. So lots of cool stuff to pay attention to, but for now, those are our picks for the best gaming laptops you can buy right now.